Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This one is going to be a very short video on a very specific issue, and that is the speed sensor in your transmission. Now, this thing is super expensive. It's tied into a lot of controls in your car. So we're gonna go over how to test it properly and how to ensure that yours works. So let's get to it. All right, so what I have here is two speed sensors, and one of them is good and one of them is bad. And I'm gonna show you how to test them real quick because it's very simple. So basically there's a couple different ways you can test them, and they're all going to involve hooking our voltmeter up to the leads on the tester. So any way that you can do that is fine. As you can see, the plug is cut off of this one. That's just the way it came. The plug is still on this one. I'm actually going to end up swapping them. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a continuity test. So in theory, if we have the tester hooked up to the leads on both sides of these testers and you spin these very slowly, you're going to get in and out continuity. And we're going to go ahead and do that first. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the bad one first. So this is the way we have it hooked up. As you can see, I have the leads are just taped onto the leads from the sensor here. And we're going to go ahead and spin this gear. And you're going to see that we get nothing. So there's no action here at all. And this is on continuity. So basically continuity is just connecting the two leads together. So as you can see, we're getting nothing on this one. All right, so here's the good sensor hooked up the exact same way. And as you'll see when we spin this one, so I'm spinning it very slowly. And as you can see, we're getting continuity and we're going out of continuity. So the next test is a little bit more difficult, but it's really the proper way that you should test these. Now, if you look in the FSM, the factory service manual for our car, the way it tells you to test these is by doing similar to what we're doing, but they want you to put this on voltage and they want you to spin this with your hand and get about half of a volt on this screen, which sounds fine and dandy and in theory should work, but first of all, half of a volt is hard to see on a non-digital tester, which a lot of us, I'm sure, don't use digital testers. And not to mention, my tester here won't even show half of a volt. The lowest it's going to show is a volt. So again, these are basically generators. So we're going to go ahead and hook it up into a drill, and then I'm going to show you guys what you get. All right, so here's what we got going on. We have the sensor is inside the drill, and basically all we're doing is simulating the car moving with this kind of setup. And what you're going to see is that we get voltage on this here. So the faster we go, the higher voltage is going to go. And there you have it. Easiest way to check your speed sensor. Again, these things are basically like generators. They're just making electricity. So that's all you want to see. Mine went up to about 8 volts or so, 7 or 8 volts on the drill that I have. So obviously different drills are going to spin at different speeds. But my bad one, when I did this test, showed me a volt as I continued up into the RPMs of my drill. And that's the other reason why I say the factory service manual way of testing these is probably not a good idea, because a half of a volt is nothing. I was getting a volt showing on my meter on a bad sensor. So yeah. And then obviously, I'm sure you guys can figure this out when you take it out, but you just take this gear off. You just take this snap ring out of the back here with a pair of snap ring pliers, or I use two small small screwdrivers, and you just pop this off and then just clamp it in your drill. It's easy to go. Just don't clamp too hard. You don't want to, mess up the shafting. You don't really need to clamp it that hard. So, yeah, and that's about it. So the new speed sensor I got is good. So I'm going to go ahead and swap the plugs so that the plug is on the good one, and then I'll be ready to install it. So hopefully this helps you guys with testing your speed sensor. And if you like the channel, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. PS, these speed sensors are the same for the NA and the TT transmission, but not the automatic. But if you switch this from an NA to a TT, or if you switch your rear end in your TT to a NA rear end, you want to change this gear on the end, because the gear is what makes your speedometer correct according to your gearing ratio in your rear end. So if you just make sure you use the same sensor, but make sure the gear is correct for the rear end that you have in your car. So my car is an NA, so I'm using the NA gear. The TT one, I believe, is blue, and you can get it from Z1 Motorsports. Thanks, guys.